Hello, guys. It's me, the ALE Prince, and this is not a new series. This is actually a recurring series that I'm kind of bringing back. I did an episode last year. It was why Ginger Mahal failed as WWE champion, and it was actually one of my favorite videos to record. I gave some good facts as to why he wasn't working as a WWE champion, and I wanted to bring that series again. And who did I want to talk to about most notably, people might want me to talk about the Miz, considering his recent WWE Championship run, which got a lot of flack, rightfully so. But I actually want to talk about one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, a member of the Shield, um, Seth freaking Rollins. Um, Seth Rollins had a really interesting journey heading into the Universal Championship picture because he was the top heel guy for, the corporate guy, an indie mark turning into a corporate guy. And he kind of, after got injured, never got he got a shot at the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship, but he was just never going back, even after defeating the Game Triple H in an unsanctioned match. He never really went anywhere, and then they found a reason to put him in the IC title picture, which was like great. And then it was like, oh shit, Seth Rollins is working like a top tier main event talent. Let's give him the Universal Championship picture. We were all behind it. He got the belt. He had an amazing moment when he um gave the curb stomp to Brock Lesnar multiple times. The story wrote itself. And when he won the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 35, it was awesome. And then we got his championship run, and it was, whoo, that was fucking a nightmare, to say the least. It was pretty fucking bad, I gotta say. But why is exactly that Seth Rollins failed as a Universal Championship holder? And more importantly, why did he fail, you know, as the top guy? We're actually going to be looking at both of his reigns from WrestleMania 35 to Extreme Rules, and then from SummerSlam to Crown Jewel. Let's look at this. So, let's see. Uh, for starters, no legit contenders for the Universal Championship. It was just kind of like, uh, and it was hard to find Seth Rollins's better half, like a better fighting champion. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin had The Rock, and he had Triple H. He made the best out of it. I'm trying to think of some other guys. John Cena, say what you will, he had Randy Orton. He had Batista. Uh, he had Triple H. So John Cena had some good challengers. Edge, that's the perfect example. And Edge had The Undertaker, Batista. So he had those guys had legit top tier people to fight for their World Heavyweight Championship. Who the hell did Seth Rollins have? So AJ Styles was a pretty good choice. Um, but then he kept fighting Baron Corbin. He fought him 3 times in a row. Uh, Super Showdown, Stomping Grounds, and then in a mixed tag team match at Extreme Rules, which eventually led to the downfall where he got cashed in on. But then let's look at his second reign. He beat Brock Lesnar again. Um, Braun Strowman after teaming up with him, and then he had that abomination against the Fiend. More on that later. And then they had no choice but to get the belt off of him because otherwise the fans were gonna fucking riot. And they realized that that was one of the worst, if not the worst, Hell in a Cell match of all time. We'll focus on that again later. But yeah, there was never a top guy that Seth Rollins could have fought. The only time he felt legit was when he was facing Brock Lesnar. Like, he should have been facing other people. Like, what about Bobby Lashley? He was a legit player. This could have been a big redemption for Bobby Lashley too. Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley have pretty solid chemistry to say the least. But this would have helped out his career in the long run. Baron Corbin, it was just kind of like, oh, he beat Kurt Angle. And if you guys got to see my what if Chad Gable was Kurt Angle's illegitimate son? Spoiler alert: Chad Gable retires Kurt Angle. but I don't immediately push him to the WWE Championship picture. I will kind of work my way up him, and that seems to be the problem with people. They seem to always put him at the top way too soon, way too fast. Look at the Miz. Look at Dolph Ziggler. Um, Look at hell. Look at AJ Styles. He went from the WWE champion, had a hell of a 3 amazing years as a WWE champion, and then they just went down the card to the U.S. title picture, the IC title picture, and it really hurt AJ Styles. And that's the problem with WWE recently. They constantly put these guys at the top way too soon, and then they drop them back the fuck down. Like, stop it. Like, this is why nobody likes Baron Corbin, because they shove him down their throats. But and let's be freaking honest with ourselves. Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin have shitty, awful chemistry. I went to a live event. They were in the main event. It was a pretty bad match to say the least, but I mean it's a little bit different when you're there live. But yeah, these guys clearly don't have chemistry for it, and they gave us 3 of these matches, a million of them if you went to the house shows. So yeah, Seth Rollins didn't have any legit contenders. Um, oh yeah, number two. Meaning that you are the top champ, if you are holding the main belt on the WWE of WWE, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, you need to be the center of that show. And he was not. Raw, it was like everything else around it. Around this time, we had the wild card rule. Remember that shit? Yeah, it was hurting Seth Rollins big time because he was freaking um overshadowed by the Shane McMahon Roman Reigns storyline. From time to time, Kofi Kingston was there, and honestly, Kofi Kingston was a better babyface champion than Seth Rollins. Granted, he was not a good champion either, but you could argue and say that Kofi was a better babyface champion than Seth Rollins. Um, and more importantly, around this time, Becky Lynch became the biggest name in WWE. So, um, Becky Lynch was overshadowing Seth Rollins. We'll be coming back to Becky Lynch in a while, but yeah, Seth Rollins was never the focus of it. Like, it was like you were for the stuff that you were excited for in 2019. It was like everything but Seth Rollins, and that's a big problem. Like, same problem that was with Jinder Mahal. He was never the focus of the main show, and that's pretty bad when you're the top champion. Let's see. Number 3. It was a little too late, which leads me to number 4. The IC Championship run. In 2018, Seth Rollins was on fire in the mid card division, and it really showed you that he was easily better off in the mid card division. And it was like, oh, but this one was our fault. We were wrong on putting him in the world title picture, and let alone as a babyface. Like, some people are just not meant to be the world heavyweight champion, and Seth Rollins proved it yet again. Now, when I say too little, too late, he could have done a thing where he's been a top tier champion all of 2018, and then he'll say like, listen, Brock Lesnar is never here to defend the Universal Championship, but I've been carrying Raw on my back, having classics with everybody. But I'm out up to an even bigger challenge, and this might cost my career. This might piss off the people in the back, but I'm gonna put my Intercontinental Championship on the line against Brock Lesnar if he puts the Universal Championship on the line. If we had that at SummerSlam 2018, oh, I guarantee you that would have helped out Seth Rollins a lot. And then you could have easily gotten the belt off of him like the next night on, or the next pay-per-view against maybe, let's say, a Braun Strowman, a Bobby Lashley, a Roman Reigns, even. Anybody, just to like say like, oh, look, Seth Rollins is now a dual champion, but dual champions have this tendency of losing the other belt immediately, unless you're ROH when you're Jay Lethal. when he was both the TV and ROH World Champion. He was defending both timeless. That worked for ROH. This is the WWE. That could have been a cool run. And yeah, like I said, he was never WWE's top guy. This is number 5. He was never WWE's top guy. But like I mentioned, in 2018, he was kind of lucky in the IC title picture. And yeah, I think he was just better off there. And like I said, when you look at the Shield, now to be fair, Seth Rollins, Tyler Black was always my favorite out of the 3. Um, but I knew deep down that he was never going to be a top main event player. We were wrong, of course, because Triple H had a huge raging boner for Seth Rollins. He was easily Triple H's biggest project, and I mean, it made sense. And it it really showed that Triple H really loved Seth Rollins. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. If Triple H was never running anything in the WWE, Vince McMahon would have probably fired this guy. I'm pretty sure Seth Rollins, aka Tyler Black, would have ended up in AEW of all people. Maybe Dean Ambrose would have been, if he was taken more serious. Maybe he would have been um, the guy to dethrone Triple H at WrestleMania 33 and do all of these cool things, especially because he's married to Renee Young. I guess we were wrong, but it was just more like Triple H saw the focus on Seth. Vince didn't. I mean, now he does because, now Seth has become the typical corporate guy. And that's another problem. Number 6, he just sucks as a babyface. Um, I think when he became the WWE champion in 2015, he was on fire. He was actually not that bad. Granted, he wrestled like a coward, chicken shit heel, but he was on fire. He was on TV all the time. He was the main focus on the show. And he was a corporate guy. Now, I don't know what Seth was thinking, where he thought that doing that exact same character but try to be a babyface was gonna help him. Nuh-uh. You gotta develop and improve yourself, Seth. You cannot try to recycle certain aspects of your career. You have to develop. Sometimes you are just meant to change up the character. I mean, that's why the Messiah currently works, because it's different, it's new, and it changed Seth Rollins' career. Um, Number 7, The Fiend. Oh, let's talk about this one. So, the most famous thing that ever happened to Seth Rollins as a Universal Champion, other than winning the damn thing, was The Fiend at Hell in a Cell. Like, if you guys remember this, with the bright red lights, you couldn't see jack shit. And Seth Rollins was trying to get the upper hand, doing 50 curb stomps to the Fiend, and he keeps kicking out. They beat the shit out of the Fiend, and the Hell in a Cell, for the first time ever, ends in a disqualification, completely killing that entire stipulation and just hurting Seth Rollins' reputation. He did not take the criticism well, and he was talking shit on Twitter. He was just being an asshole, which leads me to number 8. He's just a fucking jerk. The whole time he was a Universal Champion, he was just talking shit, and it was like, where did this come from? Like, and listen, if you're gonna be the top face, you gotta own it. You gotta accept what they give you, and you gotta try to develop the best you can. You do not listen to criticism on the internet, and let alone talk shit. Okay, you can talk shit up to some fans, maybe, like, but that's just giving the trolls on the internet power. But more importantly, he was talking shit about everybody, not just Smarks, but even other wrestlers. He talked about how he makes better money than Will Ospreay. It was like, what the fuck? He disencouraged John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, for going to AEW, saying that he sucked in the WWE. It was like, well, yeah, he sucked, but it was like, you should be proud that your friend's doing some good work, and you're just shitting on what he's doing. And then yeah, he's just constantly just talking shit on Twitter. Even calls out CM Punk. And it's just like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Like, no one. That's another reason. Like, when people saw that, it was like, no, dude. Like, if he were to say this shit 5 years ago, and then you know, he got canceled by PC people and those fuckers. Um, I under I understand why Seth would be mad, and he could like redeem himself if possible. But no, he got caught in the act saying all of this bullshit, and I was like, no, dude, just stop it, just shut up. You're just digging up a hole, and I don't know. Some people are just not meant to have Twitter. That's just me. I don't have Twitter because I don't want to turn into this. Um, and another criticism that he got is the whole Becky Lynch storyline. Remember that? The man's man. He told the people, I swear to God, he told people on Twitter that he was jealous or that fans were jealous of his relationship with Becky Lynch. No, that's not it. We just want to see you to do good without the help of Becky Lynch. You just look like a pussy. No offense. I mean, hell, Jim Ross even told Seth Rollins, "Your girlfriend is more popular than you ever will." And it's true. No offense, but Becky Lynch is the top star, not Seth Rollins. And it's just not right. Like, it's just really disrespectful how Seth Rollins was being around this time. He was just being an asshole. And you never saw John Cena going to people saying that F them. He would tell Seth Rollins would tell people to stop watching WWE if you don't like it. Like, we don't need you people. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then sure enough, people stopped watching, and he got the shit end of the stick. And yeah, he was just an asshole. He was just an asshole playing a baby face, and no, that wasn't working. It's just like, no, dude. And finally, other guys just work better as a top baby face. Like, there's a reason why Drew McIntyre is like at the top where he is, because he's a cool dude. He's super nice. He makes other people look great. And he's constantly developing his character, even up to the point where he's changing his entrance up. And he's just a more believable person to look up to. Roman Reigns, say what you will, he got booed. He was misbooked. I will say this. But now we learned, yes, this is how you're supposed to book Roman Reigns. Um, Hell, like, he just didn't look like a top tier main event player. I'll call it the Jeff Jarrett effect. Jeff Jarrett was actually one of the best intercontinental champions of all time. Say what you will about his backstage politics, but the guy was pretty good in the mid card division. Then you go to WCW, you give him the top main event spot, and yeah, something was off about that. Just some people are just not meant to be at the top. You mean to tell me that Seth Rollins was above everybody who was on the roster? Like, no. And you could have proven us wrong, Seth. You could have proven us wrong. But instead, what do? You talk shit on the internet. You talk down to everybody. You are a fucking asshole to everyone who's around you. Yeah, you just do not try. And the second you turn him as a heel, now people love him. Granted, people still think he's a jackass, but he is more believable as a heel than he is a face. And there is a point where I believe that Seth Rollins could be a top babyface once again. But one, he's got to change his attitude. And two, he needs to work his way back up if he ever wants to be world champion again. I think if you just keep him in the mid card division, he should be good. There's a reason why people hate The Miz as the WWE champion as we speak, because he just doesn't look believable. And trust me, if The Miz is currently your Intercontinental Champion, people will not complain. People love The Miz as the Intercontinental Champion. Same with Seth Rollins. So, like I said, not everybody can be the top guy, and Seth was the biggest proof of it. Do you realize that the second that Seth Rollins became the Universal Champion, that's when people said to themselves, "Yeah, it's time that we realize that not everybody should be the world champion." You realize that it took Seth freaking Rollins to make us realize that. Trust me, if Seth Rollins became WWE champion 10 years from now, We probably would have never gotten Finn Balor and Kevin Owens and those guys. So in a way, he kind of hurt other guys' potential because it's like, great, because of this asshole, now none of us will be the top star. It makes him even more of a heel. Honestly, if you think about it, that could be a good storyline to do down the road for him against one of the uh, indie guys, your stereotypical indie guys. Like, hell, Johnny Gargano versus Seth Rollins, that would be the perfect story to use to make this match happen. But yeah, that is why I think Seth Rollins failed. It's made me the ALE Double X Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And until then, I'm out.